You wanna know how great this movie is? It reminded me of the time when M. Night Shyamalan was one of the best filmmakers working in Hollywood at the time. You transcend that statement to this generation's of cinema, that's a high enough compliment for him alone right there. Personally, I've never taken the time to completely infuse myself within the aspects of the Mumblecore genre, but I did see the Duplass Brothers' previous movie Cyrus back when it released in 2010, and that was without a doubt one of the most underrated movies that I had seen that year, because it didn't really get a lot of recognition, but Jonah Hill's performance was fantastic in it, and it's still probably my personal favorite of his, besides the raunchy comedies that he starred in the past. Jeff Who Lives at Home is the Duplass Brothers' follow-up to Cyrus, and it stars Jason Segel as Jeff, a stoner slacker who's living in his mother's basement, and he's given a simple job to do from his mom, but the problem is that he believes that everything in the world is connected through science, meaning that everything in the world happens for a reason, and it's especially from the fact that he has watched the movie Science constantly, which leads him to completely believe in this every part of the day. Along with his story, it's intertwined with two others, one of them being his brother Pat, played by Ed Helms, who's a bit of a douchebag, and he doesn't really have a good marriage with his wife, played by Judy Greer, and the other story focuses on the brother's mother, played by Susan Sarandon, who begins receiving these mysterious secret admirer letters while she's at work for the day. This is probably the best that I've ever seen Jason Segel in a movie, because it's one of his most multi-layered performances that he's had to take on in his career, because he's very light and subtle in his comedy, but also he has a great heart despite his character being a stoner, because you really see him care for those who are around him, whether they're not a family member of his own, and he does such a great job at realistically conveying the dramatic scenes that his character must endure throughout the film. Also, it was very refreshing to see Ed Helms not play the typecasted character that he's been stuck with since The Office and The Hangover and many films since those successes, and he also does a really good job, and he has terrific chemistry alongside Jason Segel, as they were two of the best brothers that I have seen since Chris Marquette and Ryan Reynolds in Just Friends, and Ray Romano and Brad Garrett in Everybody Loves Raymond. In addition to those two, Judy Greer and Susan Sarandon do a great job within their characters, and they realistically convey all the dramatic moments that they endure just as well as Segel and Helms do. As I said before, this is a Mumblecore film, and the Duplass Brothers are some of the pioneers of the genre in particular, and if you need a refresher for what the genre is, it's these low-budget movies that are shot with digital handheld cameras, and they use a lot of zoom in and zoom out techniques to convey characters' initial reactions to something happening in the scene, and also they focus on dramatic aspects as well, in which they transition in between lighthearted moments of comedy and dramatic moments, but a lot of the script is improvised. They don't really write a lot of dialogue, even though they have a story set out. So the actors are allowed to improvise their own dialogue, which realistically enhances their performances to a greater degree, and every actor in this movie really benefits from that tactic alone. As for minor nitpickets, Susan Sarandon's story wasn't as deep and involving as Ed Helms's and Jason Segel's characters were before. However, it didn't really detract anything from the experience at all, and the pacing is very fast. It is an 80-minute movie or so, but it just flies by like that. However, I can't really say that's a nitpick, because when that happens, that means you're loving the movie so much that you just want to watch it again for the same effect again, and that's why I'm going to give Jeff Lives at Home a very strong 4.5 out of 5 stars. It's one of the best examples of the dramedy being poured through the filter of hyperlink cinema that I've seen in quite some time, and it's even better because the dramedy is one of the best genres that explores everyday real-life situations while also balancing on very real moments of comedy, and this is one of the best movies that I've seen to do that in quite some time. So I hope you enjoyed my review of Jeff Lives at Home. I'll be back on Friday with my review of The Hunger Games. I have finals on Monday and Thursday, so I'm going to be busy for the next couple of days, but I promise you I'll be back on Friday because I already pre-ordered my ticket for The Hunger Games, my most anticipated movie of March. So in the meantime, I'm Tara from CaliCritic Reviews, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.